So today I thought we would cover the first book. I'm in my childhood bedroom right now, so I got my books out of storage ready for this. So yeah, let's talk about Double Love, book one.
Hi everyone, I'm Rosie Blythe and I didn't record a proper intro for this because it was originally going to be part of the first video where I talk about the background of Sweet Valley High and its creator Francine Pascal, and I got a little too enthusiastic and the video got a bit too long, so here we are to chat about the first book, finally.
So just a quick précis of the opening scene. It's just a description of how perfect they are. That's it. It's just like, oh, they're so gorgeous. So Jessica spins around to show a stunning figure without an extra ounce visible anywhere. Because, you know, first thing we need to know is that they're not fat, okay? Just don't even think that they're fat for 1 second. She has a perfectly shaped bronze leg. She has silky blonde hair and almond-shaped eyes, as opposed to any other kind of shape. The blue-green of the Caribbean. And they have sun-streaked blonde hair, the same sparkling blue-green eyes. Okay, we know they're blonde and they're blue-eyed. They have a dimple in their left cheek. And they wear exquisite, identical lavaliers. A lavalier? I don't even know what that is. Gold chain, a necklace on a gold chain, a pendant or something. I don't know. Does anyone else know what a lavalier is or how to say it? Elizabeth has a tiny beauty mark on her shoulder. That's the only way you can tell them apart. By beauty mark, I think they mean mole, but that doesn't sound as pretty, does it? Elizabeth wears a watch. Jessica doesn't, because who cares? Nothing happens till I show up anyway. And a wicked gleam of mischief lurks in the aquamarine depths. How many times do you have to say the colour of their eyes? We get it. So yeah, you get the picture. They're stunning, and they're, you know, we're going to learn that they're the most popular girls in school, I'm sure, in a minute. So Double Love it's a thickish book. It's actually got a lot of plot kind of packed into one story. So the main plot is Elizabeth likes this guy at school called Todd Wilkins, and he kind of obviously likes her too, but every time he tries to talk to her, Jessica kind of intercepts him because she likes him too, because he's hot and he's captain of the basketball team. So Elizabeth's just like, oh, okay, you know, of course he liked Jessica better. They're identical, and he's not going to like her more for her personality, is he? Because she's a bitch. So Todd calls, and Jessica's just like, oh yeah, no, Liz is busy, sorry, yeah, she can't talk. And that happens several times throughout this book. Just a quick note as we're going along. I did not know that people used the word shook in the 80s. Okay, don't get so shook, Liz, Jessica says. Okay, that's interesting. Little piece of 80s trivia for us. I did not know that. So when Jessica's not getting enough attention from Todd, she decides a really good thing to do is just going to like walk along the street and hope to attract the attention of men. You can tell this has been written in a different era, can't you? This book, it says copyright 1982 by Francine Pascal. I just realised this may be a little controversial because according to Wikipedia, the book started in 1983. I've heard other people say 1984, but I don't know what to tell you. This clearly says 1982. I guess maybe the copyright date could be different from the date it actually got published. Either way, it's kind of weird. So very early 80s, yeah, whole other world, right? But later on when she's in a bar and she gets attention from men, then she gets angry and ashamed. So I don't know what the difference is, whether they're in the street or in a bar, but okay, Jessica. So while Jessica is walking along hoping to attract attention from men, she sees Rick Andover, who is a rebel who dropped out of school, and he looks like a young Clint Eastwood. No, I'm sorry. So this is a recurring theme in these books. It mentions, like, obviously, like, sort of famous people from that era. And when I was reading them when I was a teenager, I was just like, oh yeah, Clint Eastwood, I know, Desi Harry, yeah. And I didn't really think about, like, as a teenager in the 80s, would you be saying, oh yeah, that guy's like a young Clint Eastwood? Because I googled it, and Clint Eastwood would have been in his early 50s at the point this book came out. And so yeah, it's kind of interesting that he's the only person that they could think of. Like, I would have thought they'd be like, oh, he looks like, you know, Matt Dillon or Tom Cruise or someone if you're going to say, oh, he looks hot. But yeah, so that's a weird kind of reference for the early 80s for a 16-year-old. The other plot point is the twins are worried that their dad might be having an affair with a woman at his law firm. So Ned Wakefield, their father, he's a lawyer. Their mother, Alice, is an interior designer. So we have a great outfit description when Jessica is going on her date with Rick Andover, that naughty girl. She's wearing the sexiest red blouse, brand new black sandal heels to go with her black silk jersey skirt. I think that's a cool outfit. I would wear that on a date. And I think Jessica's most redeeming feature is her attitude, because when she's going out with this guy and she's like, okay, this is a bit dodgy, it just says she quickly dismisses her worries because she had yet to come up against a situation that she could not handle. And isn't that true of us all? So far in your life, you have always managed to handle every situation, haven't you? So I think we can all take a leaf out of Jessica's book there and just make a note of that. So she goes on a date with Rick and he is slurring his words after one shot. So I don't know, maybe he preloaded before he came out. And she's kind of worried, like, oh, if he drinks any more, he won't be able to drive me home. Like, Jessica, don't get in a car with a guy who's slurring his words. That's bad already. So Rick starts a fight at the bar. She just stays frozen in place for the police to come. So Jessica is picked up by the police, and when she says her name is Wakefield, the policeman is like, oh, Elizabeth Wakefield, my niece knows you, or whatever. And she doesn't correct him. She does kind of try, but he's already like driving away. So the town gossip, Caroline Pierce, overhears, as luck would have it, and starts the rumour that Elizabeth Wakefield was dropped off by the police for starting a barroom brawl. Now I have to just point out, so the plot line is that everyone believes it was Elizabeth, which is a bit weird because she's like known to be the goodest girl. She's like never in trouble. I don't know why the entire school just believes it and they're not like, Caroline, I'm sure you've got your wires crossed there. It's like, have they all like just met her? Because this is obviously the beginning of the junior year at school, but they would have already known her, like, well, at least 2 years, right, for high school if they started as freshmen. But later on we discover that they all went to school together in middle school. So, like, why would they believe that? I don't think they would. Anyway, Todd Wilkins hears it, and of course it puts him off Elizabeth. So Elizabeth's best friend Enid, she goes out with her boyfriend Ronnie, and for some reason Todd comes along with him, even though he's not friends with Ronnie or Enid at this point. He just, like, for some reason, there's just like this real temporary friendship. He comes out with him and Todd, with a sad, faraway look in his brown eyes, says, maybe there's just so much a person can take. I mean, how long can you go on trusting someone, believing in someone? He doesn't even really know Elizabeth at this point. They're not even really friends. Like, they say hello to each other sometimes. She goes, ooh, Todd. But, like, trusting and believing what? She's not beholden to you. Like, Elizabeth, even if Elizabeth was going out with Rick Andover and starting barroom brawls, why would that mean anything to Todd? He's being very melodramatic here. So then the third plot is that the school football field might be taken over. So George Fowler is a businessman in Sweet Valley, and his daughter Lila is very rich and spoilt. And he wants to build a factory over the football field. And then the Patman family, Bruce Patman, who is very rich, so he's kind of awful. In fact, all of the rich characters are kind of awful in this, which is interesting. Anyway, they want to build an ornamental garden, and so the school is like, no, we can't let them take our school football field, and they start a rally and stuff, and it's a court case, and of course Mr. Wakefield and his partner are the people involved, the lawyers defending the school, and they win it, so that's fine. So apparently teenagers in the 1980s were very puritanical, because in this school Elizabeth is considered a disgrace for just going to a bar. Bruce Patman says, when it comes to having a disgrace in the family, Jessica Wakefield, just consider your dear sister the pub crawler. And I do mean crawler. Anyway, no one thinks that she's like a cool rebel. Which is interesting. I didn't know that people referred to pubs in America. I thought it was always bars. Or is pub crawler just like an old saying that you've kept even though you don't have pubs? Can someone from the US just please let me know if you ever do actually say pub in any other context than pub crawler? Because I'm intrigued. But anyway, while all this rallying is going on, Jessica confesses to Todd that it was her, but she says it in such a way that it makes it sound like she's just taking the blame. So Jessica says, I can't let this go on. Elizabeth is my sister. I love her. Todd, it wasn't Elizabeth at Kelly's. It was me. My sister is not going to be blamed for this thing. It's not fair. So Todd, for some reason, doesn't think like, oh yeah, that makes more sense that it was Jessica, because she is kind of known to be the rebel of the family and Elizabeth is little Miss Goody Two-Shoes. He just assumes for some reason that Jessica's come over all noble, and because he thinks that she's noble, he kisses her. So I don't really understand why this makes Todd kiss her, because like you can think that someone's noble without kissing them. Anyway. So this is obviously the low point for Elizabeth. Like, everyone's like, oh, Todd and Jessica are a thing now. So he invites her to the fraternity dance that she's been like angling for a date for. Winston Egbert, the school nerd, agrees to be Elizabeth's date for this dance so that she's not like moping at home on her own, because we know that no one can go to dances alone, don't we? Best insult ever from Bruce Patman. You stupid nothing, I'll fold you up and stuff you in the trash can. I'm going to be using that one. For some reason that just really tickles me. So anyway, so the night of the dance arrives and Todd and Winston arrive to take the Wakefield twins out. So what are they wearing? Let's see. So Elizabeth's wearing a white strapless dress, which is perfect with her tan skin and blonde hair. And Jessica is wearing she looks sensational, it says. The blue dress with its delicate straps and full skirt showed off her slim body and gorgeous legs. All right. Winston is like overcome with how Elizabeth looks. And I never really understood this because I didn't know this saying, this phrase, where she says, so Elizabeth says to Winston, if you make me cry and ruin my eye makeup, I'll kill you. So help me, I'll kill you. I was like, what does that mean? I'd never come across the phrase, so help me. I know now that it's just like a thing that you say, but yeah, when I was 12, I didn't know what that was about. So Elizabeth goes with Winston, Todd and Jessica go together, even though Todd is like mooning over Elizabeth. Why? If you think that you've got the noble twin, why are you still hankering after the other one? If it's just like they're identical, you're basing it purely on personality. Okay. Anyway, so Todd and Jessica are great dancers, we learn. Jessica dances around Todd, her dress flaring out as she twirls, and her beautiful tanned legs caught every boy's eyes. Okay. Then she and Todd really started getting into the music in a very sexy way. I don't know what that means. Is this like a Dirty Dancing reference? But we don't really know, but they got into it in a very sexy way. We're reliably informed. So Todd and Jessica have this date. She really likes him, but at the door when she wants him to kiss her goodnight. So Jessica places her hands lightly on his shoulders, sways close to him. Oh Todd, she breathed, closing her eyes and raising her face for a kiss. He kisses her on the cheek, which she is furious about because that's not what she signed up for. And she's never been so humiliated in her entire life. I mean, she probably has. And then she says, you creep. Todd Wilkins, I swear I'll get even with you if it's the last thing I ever do. So she needs to get even with him for kissing her on the cheek. So Jessica does this really bad thing where she comes in and she tells Elizabeth that he wouldn't stop trying it on with her, shall we say. That nice guy image was about to be destroyed, she thinks. So yeah, she is pretty awful. That rat tried just about everything. The horrible thing was that I could hardly make him stop. I had to beg him and beg him to please stop. So Jessica is a terrible, terrible person. And she's just accusing this guy, this completely innocent guy, of doing awful things. And it's primarily so that Elizabeth won't like him anymore, so she won't go out with him, because he obviously isn't interested in Jessica. So yeah, Jessica is a dreadful person. Then they have more drama because there's another subplot. Their older brother Stephen, he's 2 years older than them, he is at Sweet Valley University because nobody ever travels very far for anything. And they discover that he's dating Betsy Martin, who is like the town tramp, because we have those in Sweet Valley. And it's weird because Jessica tells Elizabeth and she doesn't kind of say like, oh, how do you know this? Like, who told you? Where's this information come from? She just accepts it. Because that's what people do in Sweet Valley. They never question information. They never say, does that sound like something that person would do? So yeah, you'd think Elizabeth at least would question it when she knows that rumours fly around. There's even a reference to Elizabeth saying, oh, I'm not going to believe every rumour I hear. And she just believes this thing with no particular reason for it. Anyway, it turns out he's not dating Betsy, he's dating Trisha Martin. And there's a little subplot about where he's like, won't get out of bed because he's so depressed and his parents kind of winkle it out of him what's happened. So he's kind of insulted her by making it sound like, oh, I don't mind that you're like from the wrong side of the tracks, I'll make allowances for you. And obviously she gets mad at him and that's why they're broken up. But he goes around and says he's sorry and he loves her and she says, I love you too. So that's that subplot sorted out. And then the lady lawyer is coming around for dinner and their dad's going to make an announcement, so they assume that that's going to be like, we're happily announcing we're getting a divorce, because that would be something you do at a family dinner. Anyway, it turns out she's going to be a partner in the law firm, so all of those late nights working together, absolutely fine. Nothing to worry about there. So you've had all of these subplots. The school football field is okay. Ned Wakefield isn't having an affair. Stephen Wakefield is fine and dandy. So the final puzzle piece is obviously the Todd thing. People believing that Elizabeth is like a bar crawler. So apparently the only way that Elizabeth can clear her name is by Rick Andover hijacking their car and driving with them in it. And then Todd's like, oh, well, I'll stop him. He drives them to the same bar, and Jessica's like, oh, I never want to see the inside of that place again. And then Todd's like, oh, okay, she was telling the truth. So that's the only way that Elizabeth was ever going to actually get her name cleared, apparently. So there's this great scene where Todd rescues them. He's very heroic. Get back in the car, Todd commanded. The only one going any place is you, Rick, said Todd quietly. And then they have a fight. So Rick punches Todd. Todd didn't miss a beat, we're informed. He came to life in a fury of hard, short jabs to the middle that sent Rick jackknifing to his knees. And so, yeah. So Todd says, come on, I think he'll leave you alone now. So it's very, very exciting. So Elizabeth kisses Todd, woohoo! And so they get together. So Todd, again, I mean, he and Elizabeth are a great match because they're both bloody ninnies. Todd and Elizabeth have a little conversation about like, oh, but I thought you were so popular. You were out with other boys every night. Like, who told you that? Jessica did. Oh, okay. So Elizabeth is fully aware of what Jessica's been up to, I think, at this point. Elizabeth says, how's your memory of what happened at the end of the date when she had to beg you to stop grabbing her? So Todd's a bit gutless here because Elizabeth says, I see that's why you decided to go after Jessica. Todd says, go after Jessica? One date? And I tell you, I'm not quite sure how that even happened. Todd, you snogged her in front of everyone on the football field and then you said, I'm taking you to the dance. So yes, you do know how that happened, actually. We end the book with a little bit of revenge. So Elizabeth writes the Eyes and Ears gossip column for the newspaper, and it's a secret. No one knows who writes it, but it always kind of gets revealed who's been writing it, and they get thrown in the pool. So Elizabeth is like, I know how I can get out of this and get a little bit of revenge on Jessica. So she kind of makes her dress up. So again, we've got another mention of an outfit. She's wearing, I guess this is an 80s thing. So the outfit is a tuxedo shirt. And it has like a little bow tie attached to it. So Jessica's been like borrowing it. I'm going to have to look up a woman wearing this to kind of picture it, because I know I can't imagine. I guess women do wear like suits, don't they, to like awards things. It can be like a very cool look, but yeah, interesting. I've not really seen it in a high school thing. So they're going to a party, and Elizabeth kind of goes, oh, you can borrow this outfit if you like. So she's wearing a tuxedo shirt that Jessica has been seen wearing. And she lends Jessica her best jeans and a blue button-down shirt. So I can't really imagine Jessica wearing that outfit to a party, but she does anyway. So she's mistaken for Elizabeth, she gets thrown in the pool, and revenge is sweet. Most quintessential Elizabeth line I could find. She chanted inwardly, I am happy for Jess, I am happy for Jess, but I'm so miserable I could die. Very typical of Elizabeth. In fact, I think that pretty much sums up her entire character. Most Jessica line comes in the first scene. Why couldn't I at least have had an oval face? It looks like someone stuck a pumpkin on top of my neck. And this hair, a dull yellow mess of split ends. I hate it. And the most ridiculous Wakefield worship is the entire first scene, which just waxes lyrical about how gorgeous they are. It goes on for several pages. So that is Double Love. We end the book with a little teaser for the next book, which is Enid Rawlins turning up and saying, I don't know what to do, something terrible's happened, I can't even tell you, it's so awful. So we have had some hints, you know, scattered through all those however many, like 3 or 4 plot lines, that Enid's boyfriend, Ronnie, is a little bit controlling and jealous. So that is going to be the next book. I hope that you will join me for that. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today and allowing me to indulge in my love for Sweet Valley High. And thank you for liking the video, thank you for subscribing to the channel, and I hope that you'll join me for the next one. Bye!